I opened my eyes slowly, the bright lights of the hospital room stabbing into my head like needles. My body felt heavy, like I'd been hit by a truck, and there was this deep, throbbing pain in my side that made every breath hurt. I was Sophia, 35 years old, and my life had always been about taking care of my family, cooking meals, managing the house, supporting my husband Ethan's rising career in finance. I'd put up with his late nights at the office and the way he'd grown distant over the past year, telling myself it was just stress from work. But now, lying in that bed with tubes snaking out of my arms, something felt horribly wrong. This was supposed to be a simple procedure to remove a cyst, or so Ethan had told me when he rushed me to the ER a few days ago. I tried to sit up, but a wave of dizziness forced me back down. That's when I heard voices from the hallway, low and urgent. It was Ethan's voice, the one I knew so well after 10 years of marriage. "The transplant went perfectly," he whispered. "Your new kidney is settling in just fine. I can't believe we pulled this off." There was a soft laugh, a woman's laugh, and my heart skipped a beat. Who was he talking to? I strained to listen, ignoring the pain shooting through my abdomen. Welcome to Martha's Stories. I share new life stories here every day, and I'd really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and liked my video. Drop a comment down below telling me where you're watching from and what time it is for you, right? Now, I read every single comment, and it helps me to know I'm not alone in this. "Thank you, Ethan," the woman said, her voice smooth and grateful. "You saved my life. If it wasn't for you convincing her it was just routine surgery, I'd still be on that dialysis machine." My blood ran cold. Convincing her? That was me he was talking about. I clutched the bedsheet, my mind racing. Ethan had insisted on this surgery, said the doctor found something during my checkup and it had to come out right away. He'd handled all the paperwork, told me not to worry about the details. I pushed myself up despite the agony, inching toward the door that was slightly ajar. Peeking through the crack, I saw them, Ethan with his arm around a younger woman, maybe in her late 20s, with long dark hair and a hospital gown like mine. She leaned into him and he kissed her forehead. "Anything for you, Victoria," he murmured. "Sophia's strong, she'll bounce back, and now we don't have to worry about your health anymore." Victoria? I'd heard that name before, in passing, as one of his colleagues. But this intimacy, this secret, it hit me like a punch to the gut. Tears stung my eyes as the pieces fell into place. My kidney. He'd given my kidney to his mistress. The pain in my side wasn't from some cyst removal. It was from them cutting me open and taking a part of me. I wanted to scream, to burst out there and confront them, but my body wouldn't let me. I sank back into the bed, my hands shaking. How long had this been going on? All those times he'd controlled our finances, saying it was for our future. Now it felt like he'd been setting me up, making sure I couldn't fight back easily. A nurse came in then, checking my IV. "How are you feeling, Mrs. Reynolds?" she asked, her voice kind but professional. I forced a weak smile. "A bit sore. What exactly was the surgery for again?" She glanced at my chart. Nephrectomy, removal of one kidney. It was donated to a compatible recipient. "Your husband signed off on everything." "Donated?" I hadn't agreed to that. Ethan had tricked me, forged whatever he needed to. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, the shock turning into a burning humiliation. My whole life had been about trusting him, building our home together, even putting off having kids because he said we needed more stability first. And now this, betrayed in the worst way, left with health issues I'd have to deal with forever, like fatigue and the risk of infections. My goal shifted in that moment. It wasn't just about getting better anymore. I needed to understand how deep this deceit went, how he'd planned this violation of my body and our marriage. The injustice boiled inside me, making me vow silently that I wouldn't let this break me. Ethan walked in a few minutes later, alone, his face all concern. "Hey babe, you're awake. How do you feel?" He reached for my hand, but I pulled away slightly, pretending it was from the pain. "What happened, Ethan?" "The nurse said they took my kidney." He hesitated, then smiled reassuringly. "It was necessary. You had a tumor, remember? But it turned out you were a match for someone in need, so we decided to donate. It's a good thing." Liar. I could see it in his eyes, the way they darted away. "Who was the recipient?" I pressed, my voice steady despite the turmoil. He shrugged casually. "Some patient here. Doesn't matter. You're going to be fine." But I knew it mattered. It was Victoria, his secret lover, and he'd sacrifice my health for her. The room spun a little, but I held it together. "I overheard you in the hall," I said quietly, watching his reaction. His face paled for a second before he recovered. "Must be the meds making you hear things. Rest up, okay?" He patted my shoulder and left quickly, saying he had to make a call. Alone again, the emotional void hit hard. Shock mixed with rage, and I felt so violated, like he'd stolen more than just an organ. He'd taken my trust, my future. I'd endured his growing coldness, the way he'd control our money, insisting on joint accounts but handling all the bills himself. Now it all seemed like part of a bigger plan. I grabbed my phone from the bedside table, my fingers trembling as I searched for kidney donation laws. The results talked about consent, how it had to be voluntary. He'd forged it, I was sure. This wasn't over. The conflict had just ignited, and I was determined to uncover every layer of his betrayal. The pain in my side flared up again, reminding me of the physical toll. I'd have to live with one kidney now, watch my diet, avoid certain meds, all because of him. Humiliation washed over me. How could I have been so blind? But amid the agony, a spark of resolve flickered. I wouldn't stay the victim. I'd fight back, starting with gathering whatever info I could from this bed. The injustice of it all fueled me, pulling me from despair toward action. The days after I woke up in that hospital bed blurred into a haze of pain meds and forced rest. I couldn't shake the image of Ethan with his arm around Victoria, whispering about the transplant like it was some romantic gesture. Every time I shifted in bed, the incision site burned, a constant reminder that part of me was gone, given away without my say. I kept my suspicions quiet at first, watching Ethan closely when he visited, bringing flowers and takeout like nothing was wrong. "You look better today," he'd say, sitting on the edge of the bed with that fake smile. I nodded, pretending to buy it, but inside, my mind raced with questions about how long he'd been planning this. Victoria started showing up more often, which made my stomach twist. The first time, she poked her head into my room while Ethan was there, carrying a bouquet of lilies that smelled too sweet. "Oh, hi," she said, her voice all innocent as she set them on the table. "I'm Victoria from Ethan's office. He mentioned you weren't feeling well, so I thought I'd drop by." Ethan jumped up, guiding her closer. "Yeah, Vic's been a big help at work lately. She's recovering from some health stuff, too." I forced a weak smile, but my eyes locked on her, noticing how she moved easily. No sign of the weakness I felt. "What kind of health stuff?" I asked, keeping my tone casual. She glanced at Ethan before answering. "Kidney issues. But I'm doing much better now, thanks to a generous donor." Her hand brushed his arm and he didn't pull away. It was subtle, but I saw it, the way they stood too close, the shared looks. I wanted to call them out right there, but the pain meds made my thoughts fuzzy, and I didn't have proof yet. "That's great," I said instead, my voice tight. Ethan changed the subject quickly. "Hey, the doctor said you might get discharged soon. We can get you home and comfortable." Home. The place where he'd probably been sneaking around with her while I was out running errands or working my part-time job to help with bills. As the visits continued, I pieced more together from what I overheard. One afternoon, while I pretended to sleep, they talked in low voices by the window. "I can't wait until this is all over," Victoria whispered. "We can finally be together without hiding." Ethan shushed her. "Soon. Sophia's still recovering. We have to be careful." My heart pounded so hard I thought they'd hear it. Hiding? So this affair wasn't new. I'd noticed Ethan's late nights, the perfume on his shirts I'd dismissed as from client meetings. Now it all clicked, those work trips last year, the way he'd lock his phone. I gripped the blanket, anger bubbling up, but I stayed still, gathering whatever scraps I could. The frustration built when Ethan started gaslighting me about the surgery. That evening, after Victoria left, I confronted him gently. "Ethan, I remember you saying it was just a cyst removal, but the nurse mentioned a kidney donation." He sighed, rubbing his temples like I was being difficult. "Sophia, you're on strong meds. They can make you confused. The doctor found issues with your kidney during the scan. It had to come out. And since it was viable, we donated it. It's not a big deal. People live fine with one." I stared at him. "But I didn't sign for that. You handled the papers." He leaned in, his voice soothing. "I did it for us. You were out of it. I made the call. Trust me, it's for the best." I didn't trust him anymore, but I played along. "Okay, maybe I'm overthinking." Inside, helplessness washed over me. I was stuck in this bed, weak and sore, unable to dig for evidence. My goal was clear now: gather strength and info without tipping him off. The next day, Victoria came alone, which surprised me. She sat down, crossing her legs elegantly. Ethan's tied up at work, but he asked me to check on you. Her eyes scanned the room, then me, like she was sizing up competition. You must be in so much pain. I know what it's like. Dialysis was hell. I nodded slowly. Yeah, it's rough. How'd you get your transplant so fast? She smiled a bit too brightly. Lucky match. Ethan pulled some strings with the doctors. Pulled strings? That confirmed it. He'd orchestrated everything. Frustration boiled as she chatted about office gossip, flaunting how close she was to him. He's been so supportive through my illness, she said, touching her side absently. I wanted to scream that it was my kidney keeping her alive, but I bit my tongue. Sounds like you two are good friends, I replied, probing. She laughed lightly. More than that, but you know how work is. The slip was there, intentional or not, and it fueled my anger. When she left, I reached for my phone again, searching quietly for forged medical consent consequences. The results talked about lawsuits, criminal charges. It gave me hope, but I felt trapped, my body not ready to fight yet. Ethan came back that night, bringing dinner. Victoria said you two had a nice chat. I watched him unpack the food. She's chatty, mentioned you helped with her transplant. He froze for a second, then recovered. Just advised her on insurance stuff, nothing more. Liar, I thought, but said, okay. We ate in silence, the tension thick. My emotions swung between rage and helplessness. I'd built my life around him, sacrificing my full-time career to support his, and this was my reward? The conflict simmered, building as I realized how deep his deception went, controlling not just our money, but my health, too. The following morning, a doctor stopped by for rounds. How's the pain? He asked, checking my chart. I seized the moment while Ethan was in the bathroom. Doctor, can you explain the surgery again? I thought it was minor. He nodded. Elective nephrectomy for donation. Your husband consented on your behalf since you were sedated early. Sedated early? Ethan must have rushed that. Was there really a tumor? I pressed. The doctor hesitated. The records show compatibility testing was prioritized. But your kidney was healthy. Healthy. No medical need to remove it. Ethan walked back in then, and the doctor left. What was that about? Ethan asked sharply. Just clarifying, I said, meeting his eyes. He sat down, his tone turning firm. Sophia, stop questioning everything. It's paranoia from the drugs. Focus on getting better. Gaslighting again, dismissing me like I was crazy. It heightened my frustration. I couldn't confront without proof. And in my weakened state, he held all the cards. But overhearing more snippets during their visits, like plans for a weekend getaway once I was home, kept the tension rising. My goal sharpened. Build strength quietly. Note every suspicious thing. The affair was clear now, and so was his betrayal, pulling me deeper into this nightmare. As discharge day approached, Victoria visited one last time, thanking Ethan openly in front of me for everything. She hugged him goodbye, lingering too long. I lay there pretending to doze, but my mind was alert. The conflict was building, and I knew I had to act soon before they buried this deeper. The drive home from the hospital felt endless. Every bump in the road sending fresh jolts of pain through my side. Ethan gripped the steering wheel tightly, glancing at me every few seconds with that forced smile, like he was playing the concerned husband. I leaned back in the passenger seat, my body still weak from the surgery, pretending to doze so I wouldn't have to talk. But my mind raced. Victoria's visits at the hospital, Ethan's gaslighting about the necessary procedure, it all gnawed at me. I kept my eyes half closed, watching him from under my lashes as he hummed along to the radio, acting like everything was normal after he'd stolen a piece of me for his mistress. We pulled into our driveway, the familiar sight of our two-story house doing nothing to ease the knot in my stomach. Ethan helped me out of the car, his arm around my waist a bit too possessive. Easy now, Sophia, he said softly, guiding me inside. I've got everything set up for you upstairs. I nodded gratefully, playing the obedient wife, even as the pain sharpened with each step up the stairs. He settled me into bed, fluffing the pillows and handing me a glass of water. Rest up. I'll handle dinner and calls. I sipped the water, forcing a smile. Thanks, Ethan. I appreciate it. He patted my hand and left the room, but I heard him downstairs, already on his phone. That first afternoon, the isolation started creeping in. My sister Laura texted to check on me. I saw the notification light up my phone on the nightstand. But before I could reach for it, Ethan swept in and grabbed it. Hey, no screens yet, he said, his tone shifting from sweet to firm. Doctor's orders. I'll reply for you. I blinked at him. But it's Laura. I just want to tell her I'm okay. He shook his head, pocketing the phone. You're still on meds. You might say something confusing. I'll handle it. Told her the surgery went fine and you're resting. He turned away, typing quickly, and I felt a chill. How many times had he done this before, controlling who I talked to under the guise of helping? As the day wore on, my side started throbbing more intensely, and a low fever set in, making my skin hot and clammy. I called out weakly, Ethan, I think I need to see the doctor again. This pain isn't right. He came upstairs with a tray of soup sitting on the edge of the bed. It's normal post-op stuff. I already called and rescheduled your follow-up for next week. Too soon to go back now. Rescheduled? I'd heard the nurse say it should be in a couple of days. But what if it's an infection? I pressed, wincing as I shifted. He sighed, his eyes hardening a little. Sophia, trust me. I'm looking out for you. Pushing too hard will just make it worse. He fed me a spoonful like I was a child, but his grip on the spoon was tight, commanding now instead of caring. Later that evening, while I pretended to nap, I heard the doorbell ring. Ethan answered it quickly, his voice muffled but urgent. Victoria, what are you doing here? I told you to stay away for now. My heart pounded as I strained to listen from the bedroom. She whispered something back, and he laughed softly. Yeah, the plan worked out perfectly. She's laid up, no energy to snoop around. This buys us time to get everything sorted. Victoria's voice came clearer then, excited. You're amazing, Ethan. Handling the consents like that, smooth. He shushed her. Keep it down. But yeah, she's always been the type to go along. Expendable in the end, right? This secures our future without her dragging us down. Expendable. The word hit like a slap, confirming every suspicion. I clutched the sheets, rage mixing with the growing fever, but I stayed silent, observing. Ethan sent her away without letting her in, but not before I heard a package rustle, something he took from her and stashed in the hallway closet. For later, he muttered to himself as he closed the door. When he came back upstairs to check on me, his face was all smiles again. Who was that? I asked innocently, keeping my voice steady. He waved it off. Just a delivery guy. Nothing important. But I saw the bulge in his pocket, probably his phone buzzing with her texts. You look flushed, he added, touching my forehead. Fever's up. I'll get you some meds, but no doctor tonight. Costs are piling up from your surgery already. Costs. He'd complained about bills before, but now it felt like an excuse to keep me isolated. The next morning, the pain had worsened, radiating down my leg, and sweat soaked the sheets. I tried to get up, but dizziness forced me back down. Ethan, I called, my voice hoarse. He appeared at the door, laptop in hand. What now? His tone was colder, no more nurturing pretense. I really need medical help. Call the doctor. He set the laptop on the dresser and shook his head. I told you, appointments next week. You're overreacting. As he spoke, his screen lit up with a bank notification. I caught a glimpse of a transfer alert. Something labeled medical consulting fees, a large sum to an unfamiliar account. What's that? I asked, pointing weakly. He snapped the laptop shut, his eyes narrowing. Work transfers. Stay out of it, Sophia. Finances are my department. He locked the screen with a quick password change. I saw him do it deliberately. Like he knew I might try to peek. My mom called then. I heard the ring from his pocket. He answered it in the hallway. Hi, Mrs. Thompson. Sophia's sleeping right now. Yeah, she's fine, just tired. No need to visit. I've got it covered. He hung up and came back in. See? Everyone's updated. You don't need the hassle. I stared at him, helplessness washing over me. Give me my phone back, Ethan. I want to talk to her myself. He leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Not until you're better. You're not thinking straight with the fever. The cruelty was there now, in his commanding stare, no room for argument. Victoria texted him again. I saw the screen flash with her name before he silenced it. Tell her I'm okay, he said to himself, typing back. By afternoon, another package arrived for Victoria. Ethan signed for it at the door, whispering into his phone. Yeah, Vic, got your stuff. She's getting worse, but it'll pass. This whole thing was worth it. Handling the papers means we're clear. Papers? It had to be the medical stuff, but he didn't elaborate, just smirked as he hid the box. My fever spiked higher, chills racking my body, and I realized how trapped I was. No phone, no family, no doctor, health failing fast. Ethan complained about the high cost of my care over lunch, saying we'd have to cut back, which only fueled my suspicion about those hidden transfers. I vowed silently to get revenge, to expose whatever he was hiding. But with everything locked down, phone gone, laptop secured, doors metaphorically sealed, I lacked any way to start. The briefcase he kept his work stuff in clicked shut downstairs, the lock engaging with a finality that echoed my isolation. As night fell, the pain became unbearable, and Ethan just handed me more over-the-counter pills. "Sleep it off," he commanded, turning off the light. I lay there in the dark, realizing all my exits were being sealed one by one, the clock ticking towards something worse. The fever didn't break that night. If anything, it got worse, leaving me shivering under the blankets even as sweat poured down my face. I tossed and turned, the pain in my side like a hot knife twisting deeper with every breath. Ethan slept downstairs on the couch, claiming he didn't want to disturb me, but I knew it was so he could text Victoria without me overhearing. By morning, I could barely lift my head, my body weak from the infection that was clearly setting in. I called out for him, my voice raspy and faint. "Ethan, please, I need a doctor now. This isn't getting better." He came upstairs slowly, carrying a cup of tea, his face set in that annoyed expression he'd been wearing more often. "Sophia, you're being dramatic. I got you those antibiotics yesterday. Give them time to work." He set the cup down and checked my forehead roughly. Still warm, but not emergency level. "We'll wait for the rescheduled appointment." I grabbed his arm weakly. "But it's been days. The pain's spreading. What if it's serious?" He pulled away, shaking his head. "It's not. And honestly, with the bills piling up from your surgery, we can't afford extra visits right now. That procedure wasn't cheap, you know." Bills? He'd never mentioned costs before, always saying insurance covered everything. I tried to sit up, but dizziness hit me hard. "Show me the statements. We have savings for this." Ethan crossed his arms, his voice turning cold. "I handle the finances, remember. Trust me, things are tight because of all this. Your recovery is dragging us down." Dragging us down? Like I chose to have my kidneys stolen for his mistress. I sank back, tears stinging my eyes, feeling more trapped than ever in our own home. That afternoon, while Ethan was out running errands, I mustered enough strength to shuffle downstairs, leaning on the railing for support. My legs shook, and every step sent waves of nausea through me. I made it to his home office, the door unlocked for once. His laptop sat on the desk, screensaver flickering. I collapsed into the chair, my fingers trembling as I typed in his password, the same one from our dating days. The desktop opened, and I clicked on the banking app icon. There they were. Recent transactions, money moved out of our joint account, thousands transferred to a real estate company, labeled apartment deposit. Apartment? My heart sank as I scrolled further. Gifts, dinners, even a jewelry purchase, all under vague categories like business expenses. Before I could dig deeper, the front door opened. "Sophia, what are you doing down here?" Ethan's voice boomed from the hallway, and I quickly minimized the window, but not fast enough. He stormed in, groceries in hand, his face darkening. "Were you snooping?" I looked up, trying to steady my breathing. "I just wanted to see the bills you mentioned. What's this about an apartment deposit?" He set the bags down hard, slamming the laptop shut. "That's none of your concern. Work investment. You're supposed to be resting, not causing more stress." I stood up shakily, facing him. "It's our money, Ethan, from our savings. If we're so broke, why spend on that?" He laughed bitterly, stepping closer. "Because I decide how to manage it. You've been out of work for months, remember? Supporting my career means I call the shots. Out of work? I'd taken part-time gigs to help, but he'd insisted I focus on the house. Now he was throwing it in my face. "This is because of the surgery you forced on me," I whispered, my voice breaking. "You took my kidney for her." He rolled his eyes. Paranoia again. "Victoria's just a colleague who needed help. Stop imagining things." But his denial felt hollow, especially when his phone buzzed on the desk. Victoria's name flashing with a heart emoji. She called right then, and he answered without hesitation, turning away from me. "Hey, Vic." "Yeah, just got back. The apartment's all set. Moved your stuff in this morning. Luck's place, right?" I froze, hearing her excited squeal through the speaker. "It's perfect, Ethan. Can't wait for you to stay over tonight." He glanced at me, not even bothering to lower his voice. "Sounds good. Sophia's fine, just resting. See you soon." He hung up and pocketed the phone, acting like I hadn't heard. "That was work," he said flatly. "Go back to bed." Work? With pet names and overnight plans? The affair was out in the open now, no more hiding, and it crushed me. I made my way back upstairs, collapsing onto the bed as sobs racked my body. The physical pain mixed with this emotional gut punch. I'd given 10 years to this marriage, building our life together. And now he was funding her luxury life with our money while I suffered alone. Dependent on pills he doled out, bills mounting that he refused to pay, claiming it was my fault. "We might have to sell some assets if this keeps up," he'd said earlier. Like my health was a burden, assets, our home, the car, everything we'd worked for. That evening, Victoria showed up at the door, bold as ever. I heard her voice from downstairs, laughing with Ethan. "Babe, the apartment's amazing. The view, the spa bath. All thanks to you." He shushed her half-heartedly. "Keep it down. But yeah, marital funds came in handy." Marital funds. My blood boiled, but I was too weak to confront them. I peeked down the stairs, seeing her in a new designer coat, handing him a key. "Your copy. Come over after she crashes." Ethan nodded, kissing her quickly. "Will do. She's hitting rock bottom anyway. Fever's bad, but it'll pass." Victoria smirked. Poor thing. But more time for us. They didn't even care if I heard. It was like I didn't exist anymore. Alone in the room, I curled up, despair washing over me. No phone, no family, health crumbling, finances drained for their affair. Ethan refused to cover my medical bills, saying, "We're strained from your issues," while she moved into luxury on our dime. I felt cornered, oppressed in every way, like there was no escape from this nightmare. But amid the tears, a flicker of resolve sparked. I couldn't stay like this forever. Somehow I'd find a way out, even if it meant fighting from the bottom. Ethan came up later with dinner on a tray, his demeanor casual. "Eat something. You look awful." I took the plate weakly. "Why are you doing this? Letting me suffer while you spoil her?" He sat down, sighing. "Sophia, you're delusional. Victoria's just a friend. Focus on getting better so we can move on." Move on? To what, divorcing me penniless?" "The bills," I pressed. "Show me proof we're broke." He stood up abruptly. "Enough, I'm not discussing it. Rest or it'll get worse." He left, locking the office door behind him. That night, the fever peaked, leaving me hallucinating slightly, visions of them together mocking me. I was at my lowest, physically broken and emotionally shattered, unfairly trapped by his control. But that spark grew. I wanted to see him pay, to turn this around. How, I didn't know yet, but the oppression fueled a quiet determination. The fever finally started to ease a little that next morning, thanks to the antibiotics kicking in just enough to clear my head. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my body still aching but my mind sharper than it had been in days. Ethan's words from last night echoed in my ears, calling my recovery a burden while he lavished our money on Victoria's new apartment. I'd hit rock bottom, cornered in my own home, but something inside me snapped. No more lying here like a victim, letting him drain everything we'd built together. I decided right then to fight back, to turn this betrayal around before he left me with nothing. I waited until Ethan left for work, which I knew meant meeting Victoria. He kissed my forehead goodbye, saying, "Rest up, Sophia. I'll bring dinner home." His voice was casual, like he hadn't just admitted to funding her luxury life with our savings. As soon as the door clicked shut, I forced myself out of bed, ignoring the dull throb in my side. I shuffled downstairs to his office, my legs shaky but determined. The laptop was there, password still the same, our anniversary date. I opened it quickly, my heart pounding, and went straight to the email app. There they were, messages from Victoria, gushing about the affair, and one from the hospital with attached forms. I skimmed them, seeing my name on consent papers I never signed, dated right before the surgery. "Ethan, you bastard," I whispered to myself, clicking through more. Bank emails confirmed transfers to her account, disguised as investments. It was all there, the coerced donation, the money siphoned off. I forwarded a couple to my old work email, one I hadn't used in years but still accessed through the browser. My fingers flew over the keys, careful not to delete anything. This was my awakening. I wasn't tolerating his control anymore, but I needed help to make it stick. I remembered my lawyer friend Jenna from college. She specialized in family law and medical cases. I grabbed a notepad from the desk and jotted her number from memory, then used the landline phone in the kitchen to call her, keeping my voice low. "Jenna, it's Sophia Reynolds," I said when she picked up. "I need your help urgently." She sounded surprised but concerned. "Sophia, it's been ages. What's going on?" I took a deep breath, the words tumbling out. My husband tricked me into donating a kidney to his mistress. Forged consents, drained our accounts for her. I'm still recovering, and he's gaslighting me. There was a pause, then Jenna's voice turned professional. That's serious. Medical fraud, asset concealment. Do you have proof? I glanced at the laptop screen. Emails, bank records. I forwarded some to my old email. She whistled softly. Smart, send me what you can. We can file for divorce, freeze assets, maybe even press charges. But keep it quiet until we have a plan. We talked for 20 minutes, her outlining steps. Get copies of hospital records. Document everything. Don't confront him yet, Jenna advised. Build your case secretly. I'll start drafting papers. I hung up, a surge of empowerment washing over me. For the first time since waking up in that hospital bed, I felt like I had a way to strike back. I cleared the browser history, shut the laptop, and made my way back upstairs, pretending to rest when Ethan returned later. He walked in with takeout bags, smelling faintly of her perfume. How was your day? I asked innocently, forcing a weak smile as he set the food down. Busy as usual, he replied, unpacking the containers. Dealt with some client issues. Client issues, probably code for spoiling Victoria. I watched him, noting his smug expression. Victoria sent her regards, he added casually, like it was nothing. She's loving her new place. I nodded, biting back my anger. That's nice. You two seem close. He laughed, sitting on the bed. Jealous? Come on, Sophia. She's just grateful for the help with her health stuff. Grateful for my kidney, you mean, but I played along. No, just curious. How's work going otherwise? He leaned back, boasting now. Great, actually. Closed a big deal today means more stability for us. Us? He meant for him and her. As we ate, he kept talking about his triumphs at the firm, how he was on track for a promotion. I've got everything under control, he said, winking. You don't have to worry about a thing. His arrogance grated on me, heightening my frustration. He thought he was untouchable, still triumphant after betraying me so deeply. I finished my food quietly, then said, I think I'll nap now. He nodded, clearing the trays. Good idea. I'll be downstairs working. Once alone, I pulled out the notepad and added more details. Dates of transfers, overheard conversations. Jenna had said to gather everything, so I started a list, my resolve strengthening. That evening, Victoria called him. I heard the ring from downstairs. Ethan answered in a low voice, but the house was quiet enough for snippets to carry. Yeah, babe, she's still weak, no threat. I've got her right where I want her, dependent and clueless. Clueless? Not anymore. I clenched my fists under the covers, frustration boiling. He laughed at something she said. Exactly. Once the divorce hits, she'll get scraps. But with you, we've got our future set. Divorce? He was already planning it. That fueled me more. I emailed Jenna from my phone, which I'd snuck back from his jacket earlier, attaching the forwarded proofs. He's plotting divorce, I typed. We need to move fast. Jenna replied quickly. Got it. I'll file emergency motions to freeze accounts tomorrow. Stay strong. I deleted the exchange and hid the phone under my pillow. Ethan came up later to check on me, his face all false concern. You okay? Look a bit flushed. I nodded. Just tired. Thanks for dinner. He smiled, patting my hand. No problem. Get some sleep. Big day tomorrow at work. Big day for him, maybe, but I was turning the tide. No longer weak, I was ready to counterattack, with Jenna's help guiding me. As he left the room, I lay there, emotions shifting from despair to determination. He'd believed himself the best, controlling everything, but I'd found my way out. The frustration at his unchecked arrogance made me vow to dismantle it all, step by step. The next morning, I woke up with a clearer head. The antibiotics finally doing their job enough to let me move around without dizziness. I slipped out of bed quietly while Ethan was in the shower, grabbing my phone from under the pillow where I'd hidden it. Jenna had texted overnight, send me those emails ASAP. Also, get hospital records, call them directly. I nodded to myself, feeling a surge of purpose as I forwarded more from my old work email, the ones showing the forged consents and transfers. This was it. I was starting to collect real proof, piece by piece, to flip this whole mess on its head. I heard the shower turn off, so I quickly deleted the sent messages and put the phone back. Ethan came out, towel around his waist, looking at me suspiciously. You're up early. Feeling better? I forced a smile and sat back on the bed. A little, just needed some water. He nodded, getting dressed for work. Good. Stay in bed today, no wandering around like yesterday. I watched him button his shirt, noting how he checked his watch constantly, probably eager to see Victoria. What's on your schedule? I asked casually, probing for any slips. He shrugged. Meetings all day. Don't wait up for dinner. Might be late. Late meaning with her in that apartment our money paid for. As soon as he left, I got to work. I called the hospital from the landline, keeping my voice steady. "Hi, this is Sophia Reynolds. I need copies of my recent surgery records, including consents." The receptionist paused. "We can email them, but you'll need to verify your info." I gave my details, and within minutes, the PDF arrived in my old email. I opened it on the laptop downstairs, forged signatures everywhere. My name scrawled in Ethan's handwriting. "Got you," I muttered, printing a copy and hiding it in my nightstand drawer upstairs. This was solid proof of the medical fraud, showing no real tumor, just a rushed donation. Jenna called back right after. "Sophia, I got the emails. Those consents look fake as hell. We can use them for the fraud claim." I paced the bedroom slowly, my side still sore but manageable. "What next? I saw bank statements too, money going to her." She hummed thoughtfully. "Good. Download those officially from your joint account. And consider a PI to track the affair. Timeline could strengthen the divorce case." A private investigator? It sounded extreme but empowering. "Okay, recommend someone?" Jenna gave me a name, James Hale, discreet and affordable. "Call him. Tell him I sent you." I hung up and dialed James immediately, my heart racing. "Mr. Hale," Jenna referred me. "I need help tracking my husband's mistress, movements, affair details." He sounded professional on the line. "Sure, Mrs. Reynolds." "What's the situation?" I explained quickly. "The kidney, the funds, the apartment." "I have emails and records, but need more on her timeline." James agreed. "I can start today. Send me their info, addresses, photos if you have. Should have prelims in 48 hours. I emailed him what I could from the laptop, including Victoria's name and the apartment address I'd overheard. This was shifting things. I wasn't just reacting anymore, I was building a case. While waiting, I dug deeper into the bank app on the laptop, logging in with our shared credentials. Statements showed diverted funds, $50,000 to a real estate firm for the apartment, smaller amounts for jewelry and trips. I screenshot everything, saving to a hidden folder, then printed hard copies too. My emotions flipped from that helpless victim feeling to something stronger, like I was finally taking control, but I had to be careful. Ethan could walk in any minute. That afternoon, Ethan texted, "Running late, eat without me." I replied sweetly, "Okay, take care." Then I snuck out to the backyard where our old security camera footage stored on a cloud app. I logged in from my phone, scrolling back months. There, videos of him and Victoria in our living room when I was at my part-time job, kissing, discussing the surgery. "We need to time it right," he said in one clip. "Get the docs to push the donation." I recorded the audio on my phone, a clear admission of the scheme. This was gold. Power was balancing out, discovery by discovery. James called back later that evening. "Got some quick hits. Victoria's been at that apartment since last week. Your husband's car parked there overnight multiple times. Affair goes back at least a year, based on social media links." I sat on the couch, absorbing it. "Any proof?" He chuckled. "Photos incoming via secure link. Shows them together at hotels, dinners. Timeline matches your surgery prep." I opened the email, pics of them arm in arm, timestamps proving the long-term deceit. "Thanks, James. This changes everything." He replied, "No problem. More coming soon." Ethan got home around midnight, smelling of wine. I pretended to sleep as he slipped into bed. "Long day?" I murmured, rolling over. He sighed. "Yeah, client dinners. Exhausting." Liar. I kept quiet, but inside, empowerment surged. I had hospital records with forgeries, bank statements of diverted funds, recorded admissions, and now PI photos tracing the affair. "How's Victoria doing?" I asked innocently. He tensed beside me. "Fine, I guess. Why?" I shrugged. "Just wondering. You mention her a lot." He relaxed a bit. "Work stuff. Go back to sleep." The next day, I met Jenna at a coffee shop. I told Ethan I was seeing a friend for fresh air. She reviewed the pile I'd brought. Prints, screenshots, the recording transcript. "This is meticulous, Sophia. Forged signatures on records, funds to her, clear embezzlement. PI's timeline seals the affair." I sipped my coffee, feeling the shift. "It empowers me, you know, from victim to fighter." Jenna nodded. "Exactly. We're balancing the scales. Next, we use this for the filings." Back home, Ethan was on the phone with Victoria when I walked in. I overheard from the hallway. "She's acting normal, but watch out. Our plan's solid. No loose ends." Loose ends? I smiled to myself, slipping upstairs with my growing file. My emotions had transitioned fully now, from that rock-bottom despair to real empowerment through these discoveries. The balance was shifting, and he had no idea. I sat at the kitchen table that morning, sipping coffee slowly while Ethan rushed around getting ready for work. My side still ached from the surgery, but the pain felt distant now, overshadowed by the stack of evidence I'd gathered. Hospital records with those forged signatures, bank statements showing the diverted funds, the recorded conversation from our home security where he admitted planning the whole thing, and James's photos proving the affair stretched back a year. I had it all hidden in a folder upstairs, ready to use. Jenna had texted me last night. We're set. I'll file the police report for medical assault today and start divorce proceedings. Freeze the accounts first thing. I nodded to myself, feeling a quiet thrill. This was my first real strike back, and he wouldn't see it coming. Ethan grabbed his keys and leaned down to kiss my cheek. I've got a big meeting today, Sophia. Don't overdo it while I'm gone. I looked up at him with a weak smile, playing the recovering wife. I won't, just resting. Have a good day. He paused, searching my face for a second, but then shrugged and headed out the door. As soon as his car pulled away, I picked up my phone and called Jenna. Do it now, I said, my voice steady. File everything. She replied quickly. On it. Police report going in for the assault and forgery. Divorce papers, too, with a restraining order to keep him away if needed. And the account freeze, I'll have the court order by noon. I breathed out slowly. Perfect. He'll be blindsided. While I waited, I reviewed the folder again, adding notes on the timelines James had provided. Victoria moving into the apartment last week, their overnight stays matching the bank withdrawals. It all tied together, showing how he'd used our marital assets to fund his betrayal. I felt a mix of anger and satisfaction building. This wasn't just revenge. It was justice for what he'd done to my body and our life. Jenna called back an hour later. Police report filed. They're investigating the medical fraud based on those records. And the divorce is initiated, serving him at work today to catch him off guard. I paced the kitchen, my heart racing. What about the accounts? She chuckled. Frozen as of 10 minutes ago, supported by the embezzlement evidence. He won't be able to touch a dime without court approval. I hung up and sat down, imagining his reaction when he tried to use his card or log into the bank app. It would hit him hard, especially with Victoria expecting more luxuries. James texted then with an update. Tailed her this morning. She's at a spa, paid with his credit card before the freeze. Luckily for you. I replied, keep watching. Need anything showing ongoing affair. This was my secret counterattack, building layer by layer with Jenna's legal muscle behind me. Ethan called around lunchtime, his voice tense. Sophia, something's wrong with the accounts. I tried to pay for lunch, and the card declined. You know anything? I kept my tone innocent, stirring soup on the stove. No, why? Maybe a glitch. Call the bank. He sighed, frustrated. I did. They said there's a court hold. What the hell? I paused, letting the silence stretch. Court hold? That sounds serious. Maybe from your work deals, he snapped back. Don't be ridiculous. It's our joint accounts. You sure you didn't do something? I felt a spark of suspense. He was starting to squirm. And I hadn't even revealed my hand yet. Me, I've been home recovering, Ethan. From the surgery you insisted on. He went quiet for a second. Look, I'll sort it out when I get home. Stay put. I hung up, smiling to myself. The freeze was my first blow, preventing him from draining more for Victoria. Jenna messaged, restraining order approved temporarily. Cops might visit him soon for questioning on the assault. I forwarded that to James. Coordinate if needed, get pics if they show up at his office. He replied, on it. I spent the afternoon organizing more, printing emails where Ethan boasted to Victoria about handling the donation smoothly. It was all coming together, my calculated revenge unfolding step by step. Ethan texted later, meeting ran long, be home by 7. I knew meeting meant her, but with accounts frozen, their plans would crumble. James confirmed it with a photo. Ethan and Victoria arguing outside her apartment building. Her face angry, his gesturing wildly. When Ethan walked in that evening, he looked rattled, slamming his briefcase down. Sophia, we need to talk. The bank's saying there's a legal freeze from a court order. And I got served divorce papers at work, humiliating as hell. I stood in the living room, arms crossed, keeping calm. Divorce? What's going on? He ran a hand through his hair. It lists fraud, assault, claims I forged medical stuff. This is insane. You behind this? I shook my head slowly. Me? How could I? You've had me isolated here. But inside, suspense built, he was off guard, scrambling. "Well, fix it," he demanded. "Call whoever and drop it." I stepped closer. "Why would I? If it's true about the kidney, the affair—" He cut me off. Paranoia again. "Victoria's nothing. I'll handle the lawyers." Jenna called right then. I let it go to voicemail, but he saw her name. "Who's Jenna? That old friend?" I nodded. "Yeah, I talked to her for advice." His eyes narrowed. "Advice on what? Sabotaging me?" I didn't answer, letting him stew. James texted, "Cops just left his office. Questioned him on the forgery. Pics attached." I glanced at the phone discreetly, Ethan looking shocked as officers handed him papers. This was my supported strike, with Jenna freezing assets and police adding pressure. Ethan grabbed his phone, dialing Victoria. "Babe, accounts are locked. Can't transfer anything." I overheard her yelling through the speaker. "What? You said it was handled," he whispered back. "It will be. Sophia's playing games." I interrupted casually. "Problems?" He hung up quickly. "None of your business. We'll sort this tomorrow." But his voice cracked a bit, the arrogance slipping. I headed upstairs saying, "Good luck with that." Alone in the bedroom, I reviewed the restraining order docs Jenna emailed, ready if he escalated. The suspense was thick now. He'd react soon, and my next moves were lined up. With accounts frozen and police involved, he couldn't drain more, and the divorce was rolling. This first counterblow had him reeling, and I felt the power shift, my revenge gaining momentum. Ethan pounded on the door later. "Sophia, open up. We need to discuss this rationally." I cracked it open. "Rationally? Like how you rationally gave my kidney to your mistress?" He paled. "That's not what happened. Let me explain." I shook my head. "Save it for the cops. They're investigating." He backed off, muttering, "This isn't over." But it was starting to be for him. I locked the door, texting Jenna. "He's rattled." "What's next?" she replied. "Build more. We'll expose in mediation soon." The audience in my mind cheered. Suspense built as I anticipated his desperation growing. The morning after Ethan got hit with those divorce papers and the account freeze, he paced the living room like a caged animal, his phone glued to his ear as he barked at his own lawyer. I stood in the kitchen doorway watching him unravel, my coffee cup steady in my hand despite the knot in my stomach. The temporary restraining order had been filed and approved yesterday, but Jenna explained it wasn't served yet. A hearing was pending in a couple of days. So this mediation session today was our final window before he got legally barred from coming near me. "Sophia, you're making a huge mistake," he said, hanging up and turning to me with that fake calm voice. "Drop this now and we can fix things. No need for some family circus." I set my cup down slowly. "Fix things? Like how you fix my surgery? No, Ethan, we're doing this mediation. It's voluntary, but everyone needs to hear the truth." He snorted, grabbing his keys. "Fine, I'll be there to shut this down. And bring your so-called proof. I'll tear it apart." I didn't respond, just watched him storm out to his car. My heart raced as I got ready, slipping the folder of evidence into my bag. Hospital records, bank statements, the home security recording, and James's PI photos. Jenna met me at the mediator's office downtown, a plain conference room with a long table and neutral walls. "This is a settlement meeting to air it out before court," she whispered as we sat down. "Ms. Grant's facilitating. Keep it factual. Let the doc speak." My mom and sister Laura arrived next, Mom's face pale as she hugged me. "Honey, we're here for you. Whatever this is, we'll get through it." Laura nodded fiercely. "If he hurt you like you said, he's done." Ethan's parents showed up soon after, his mom giving me a wary look as they took seats across the table. "Sophia, this better not be some overreaction," she said, but her voice wavered. Ethan walked in last, with Victoria right behind him, her arm linked through his like she owned the place. "What's she doing here?" Laura snapped, standing up halfway. Ethan shrugged, pulling out a chair for Victoria. "She's my support. This affects her too, since Sophia's dragging her name into it." Victoria sat down, crossing her legs and flashing a smug smile my way, but I caught the flicker of nerves in her eyes. "Ms. Grant, the mediator, a sharp woman in her 50s, cleared her throat and started. "This is a voluntary session to discuss the divorce and allegations. No judgments here, just open talk. Sophia, you called this. Go ahead." I took a deep breath, my voice cold and calculated as I opened the folder. "Okay, let's start with the surgery. Ethan told me it was routine, for a cyst. But these hospital records show otherwise." I passed copies around the table, pointing to the key sections. "No clear medical indication for the nephrectomy. Pathology notes prioritized donor compatibility over my health. It was rushed, no second opinion. Ethan's mom flipped through the pages, her brow furrowing. "Ethan, what does this mean?" He leaned forward, waving it off. "It's a mix-up. The doctor said she had issues. I trusted him." I slid the consent forms next. "Issues you made up. Look at the signatures. Mine's forged. I never signed off on donating my kidney." Laura gasped, grabbing Mom's arm. "You donated her kidney? To who?" I locked eyes with Victoria. "To her, Ethan's mistress." The room went dead silent for a beat. Then Ethan's dad spoke up, his voice low. "Son, is this true?" Ethan shifted in his seat, his face hardening. "Absolutely not. Sophia's unstable from the meds, paranoia, like I said. Victoria's just a friend who needed help." Victoria nodded quickly. "Exactly, it was coincidental." I felt the tension build, my calm cracking into something sharper as I pulled out my phone. "Coincidental? Let's hear it from Ethan himself." I hit play on the home security recording, his voice echoing clear. "We need to time it right. Get the docs to push the donation. She's expendable anyway." Everyone froze. Mom covered her mouth, tears welling up. "Oh my God, Ethan, how could you?" Ethan jumped up, pointing at me. "That's edited. She's twisting everything because she's jealous." But his voice cracked, and Victoria pulled at his sleeve, whispering, "Ethan, stop." I didn't let up, sliding the bank statements across. "Jealous? Or just done with you draining our accounts? $50,000 for her apartment deposit? More for jewelry and trips, all from marital funds while I recovered." Ethan's parents scanned the papers, his dad's face turning red. "This looks like embezzlement, son. You used family money for..." "This?" Victoria flushed, stammering. "It was gifts. He was helping me." Laura exploded then. "Helping? With my sister's health on the line? You're both disgusting." I saved the PI photos for last, fanning them out like cards. And the affair? Not new. These go back a year, hotels, dinners, while I was home supporting your career, Ethan. The timelines match the surgery prep perfectly. Ethan's mom shook her head, dumbfounded. "I can't believe this. We raised you better." His dad nodded slowly, the doubt turning to anger. "This is betrayal, pure and simple. We're not backing you on this." Victoria stood up, flustered and teary. "Ethan, tell them it's not what it looks like." But he just sat there, suffocated by the pile of evidence, his facade crumbling as he muttered, "You don't understand." I leaned forward, my voice explosive now. "No, you don't understand. You violated me, stole from us for her. But you didn't destroy me, you destroyed yourself." The room buzzed with shock, Mom hugging me tight, whispering, "I'm so sorry I didn't see it sooner." While Laura glared daggers at Victoria. Ethan's parents avoided his eyes, his mom murmuring, "We need time to process this." Ms. Grant wrapped it up quickly. "This supports the claims. I'll recommend escalating to court." Ethan stormed out first, Victoria trailing after him, her confidence shattered. I heard her hiss at him in the hallway. "You said this was handled." Jenna patted my back as we left. "You did it, Sophia. The truth's out, they all see him for what he is." I nodded, a wave of release flooding through me, like I could finally breathe after months underwater. His reputation was cracking, family support gone, and Victoria doubting him. It felt justified, satisfying, but I knew this was just the setup. The real fight was coming in court, where I'd bury him for good. A few days after the mediation blew everything open. The restraining order got served on Ethan at his office, forcing him to move into a cheap hotel downtown while we waited for the emergency hearing. I paced my living room that night, ignoring his frantic texts, begging for a private meeting to sort this out before court. Jenna called to prep me, her voice sharp and focused over the speakerphone. "This is an evidentiary hearing for temporary orders, Sophia, asset freeze extension, protective order, and support for your medical bills. We'll lay out the evidence to show probable cause, but it's not the final trial yet. Judge Harlan's tough but fair. She'll rule on temps and maybe refer for criminal investigation." I nodded to myself, clutching the updated folder James had delivered that morning. Fresh affidavits swearing to the chain of custody on his photos and videos, complete with metadata timestamps. "We've got him cornered," I said, feeling tense but in control, like I finally held the upper hand after all his betrayals. The next morning, I arrived at the courthouse early, my stomach twisting with urgency as I smoothed my blouse and took my seat beside Jenna. Mom and Laura sat behind me, Mom whispering encouragement. "Stay strong, honey, we're right here." Ethan's parents slipped in quietly, choosing seats on my side again, his mom giving me a small, supportive nod that said they were done backing him. Ethan walked in with his lawyer, a slick guy in an expensive suit, but Ethan looked haggard, his tie crooked and eyes darting around like he knew the walls were closing in. He shot me a glare across the aisle, mouthing, "We need to talk," but I looked away, focusing on the judge's bench. Victoria was absent, probably bailing after their last argument James had captured on video. Judge Harlan entered, a no-nonsense woman with sharp eyes, and banged her gavel. "This is an emergency evidentiary hearing on temporary orders in Reynolds v. Reynolds. Counsel, proceed." Jenna stood first, her tone professional and urgent. "Your Honor, we're seeking to maintain the asset freeze, issue a protective order, and award temporary support for Mrs. Reynolds' medical expenses stemming from fraudulent surgery. The evidence shows clear probable cause for fraud and embezzlement." She started with the hospital records, handing exhibits to the bailiff. "These show no clear medical indication for the nephrectomy. Pathology notes prioritize donor compatibility over patient health. And the consent forms? Anomalies everywhere, signatures filled out by others, not Mrs. Reynolds." Ethan's lawyer objected immediately. "Hearsay and speculation, Your Honor." The judge glanced over the docs. "Overruled for now. I'll allow it for context on the temporary relief." I watched Ethan fidget, his posturing starting to crack as Jenna continued. "Mrs. Reynolds never consented. It was orchestrated to benefit Mr. Reynolds' mistress." Ethan leaned over to his lawyer, whispering furiously, but Jenna didn't let up. Next, bank statements from the joint accounts, marital funds diverted to apartment deposits, jewelry and trips for the mistress, with signs of concealment like vague labels as investments. She projected the statements on the screen, arrows pointing to the $50. Euro transfer for Victoria's luxury place. The judge adjusted her glasses. "This appears to be dissipation of assets. Mr. Reynolds?" Ethan's lawyer jumped in. "These were legitimate business expenses, Your Honor. My client was investing in opportunities." Ethan nodded vigorously from his seat. "Exactly. Sophia's blowing this out of proportion because she's unstable, paranoid from the post-op meds. Doctor's notes here confirm side effects like confusion and delusions." He slid papers forward, his voice gaining confidence as he accused me. "She's been imagining this affair and fraud. It's all in her head." I felt a surge of anger, my hands clenching under the table, but I stayed silent, letting Jenna handle it. She smiled thinly and countered layer by layer. "Unstable? Let's see what the evidence says." She queued up the home security footage, the heaviest blow, playing it for the court. Ethan's voice clear as day from our living room months ago. "Make sure the forms look legit. Get the docs to push the donation. She's expendable." The room went still. Mom gasped behind me, and Ethan's parents shifted uncomfortably. Ethan's face drained of color, panic setting in as he whispered to his lawyer. "That's taken out of context," his lawyer objected, "possibly edited." Jenna shook her head. "Original file with metadata, Your Honor, plus sworn affidavit from the PI who retrieved it." The judge watched the clip twice, her expression hardening. "This suggests active orchestration, counsel. Proceed." Ethan took the stand then, his posturing fully crumbling into desperation. "Your Honor, I was just trying to save a life. Victoria needed the kidney, and Sophia had health issues anyway." His voice shook as he pointed at me. "But she's paranoid now, twisting everything because of the meds. Those investments were for our future, no embezzlement." Jenna crossed him swiftly. "Future with whom?" These PI photos and timelines show the affair going back a year. Hotels, dinners, all while planning the surgery. She handed up the packet, complete with James's affidavits validating the originals and metadata. "Affidavits confirm chain of custody, no edits." Ethan stammered, sweat beading on his forehead. "We were friends helping each other. Sophia's crazy if she thinks otherwise." But his lawyer pulled him back, whispering urgently as the judge reviewed the photos. The urgency built as Jenna wrapped up. "Your Honor, this isn't instability, it's justified response to betrayal. We request the temporary orders to protect Mrs. Reynolds while the full trial proceeds." Ethan's lawyer made a last-ditch effort. "No probable cause here. It's all circumstantial." But the judge held up a hand, her voice cold and brief. "I've seen the exhibits. The court finds substantial evidence of fraud and asset dissipation. Temporary asset freeze maintained and tightened. No transactions without approval. Protective order granted. Mr. Reynolds, stay away from Mrs. Reynolds and the marital home. Temporary support awarded for medical expenses. And this matter is referred to the DA for further investigation into potential criminal charges. She banged the gavel, the sound echoing like a death knell for Ethan's schemes. Ethan collapsed back into his seat, his total collapse evident as his lawyer dragged him toward the door, muttering about appeals. His parents turned their backs as he passed, his mom shaking her head in disgust. A DA representative in the back row stood, serving him with a subpoena right there in the hallway. Notice to appear for questioning. Mr. Reynolds will need your cooperation, the rep said flatly. Ethan looked at me one last time, isolated and broken, his eyes pleading. Sophia, this can't be it. But I walked out with Jenna, Mom, and Laura, sensing the end was near. The investigation accelerating, temporary orders locking him down, all setting up the final hammer in trial. Back home that evening, Jenna texted, "Great win today. DA's moving fast. Full judgment soon." I sat on the couch, the tension easing into a quiet resolve. Ethan was backed into a corner now, his defenses shredded, and I knew justice was coming swift. The weeks following that emergency hearing felt like a slow unraveling for Ethan. While I started piecing my life back together, Jenna kept me updated daily. Her calls a lifeline as I dealt with the ongoing fatigue from the surgery. Doctors monitored my kidney function closely, prescribing meds and checkups to manage risks like infections or blood pressure spikes. The DA's moving fast on the criminal side, Jenna said one afternoon over the phone. Subpoenas from the hearing gave them everything they needed, investigations wrapping up, and charges are imminent. I sat on the couch, rubbing my side where the scar still itched. And the divorce? When's the final hearing? She paused. Next month. But with the asset freeze tightened and protective order in place, he's got nothing left to fight with. His firm suspended him pending the probe, reputations tanking. Ethan's messages flooded my phone from his dingy hotel room, a mix of begging and lashing out. Sophia, please, let's talk. I can explain everything. Drop this, and I'll sign over whatever you want. I forwarded them all to Jenna, who used them to document harassment. This just strengthens our case, she said. One night he called, his voice slurred like he'd been drinking. You think you can ruin me? It was for us, for a better life without your constant nagging. I hit record before answering. Better life? You mean with Victoria using my kidney and our money? No, Ethan, it's over. He pleaded then. She's gone, left me when the funds dried up. I have nothing now, have mercy. I hung up, my exhaustion lingering but shifting toward relief. Mom came over the next day, cooking my favorite stew. He's getting what he deserves, she said, stirring the pot. Laura and I are here for you. Therapy starts tomorrow, right? I nodded. Yeah, to process the betrayal. It helps knowing his parents cut him off too, they called, said they're ashamed. James sent one final report. Photos of Ethan alone at a bar, looking defeated. Victoria's apartment listed for sale. She's ghosted him completely, the note read. I showed it to Jenna during our prep meeting. Use this if he tries denying the affair again. The final divorce hearing arrived sooner than expected, rescheduled due to the mounting criminal pressure. I walked into the courthouse with Jenna, Mom, and Laura by my side. Ethan's parents sitting quietly in the gallery, their faces drawn. Ethan shuffled in with his lawyer, no tie, eyes hollow. He caught my gaze and mouthed, "Please." I looked away, focusing on Judge Harlan as she took the bench. This is the final hearing on the Divorce and Asset Division, she announced. Counsel, summarize. Jenna stood confidently. Your Honor, based on the evidence from the emergency hearing, forged consents, diverted funds, the affair, we seek dissolution with awards for Mrs. Reynolds. She recapped quickly. Hospital records showing the rushed donation, bank statements with the concealed transfers, the security footage of him plotting, PI affidavits on the timeline. Ethan's lawyer rose weakly. My client regrets the infidelity, but the surgery was a medical decision, not fraud. Funds were joint. Ethan nodded from his seat. Sophia agreed to everything. We were partners. I clenched my fists under the table, but stayed silent as Jenna rebutted. Partners. He hid the affair and siphoned assets. The recordings prove coercion. The judge reviewed the exhibits again, her expression stern. I've seen this before. The evidence supports dissipation and fraud. Ethan took the stand briefly, his desperation peaking. Your Honor, I was trying to save a life, Victoria's. Sophia's meds made her paranoid after. She's exaggerating to punish me. His lawyer handed up old doctor notes. See? Side effects listed. Jenna objected. Those notes are from the coerced doctor, irrelevant against the footage. The judge nodded. Agreed. The affidavits and metadata hold up. Ethan's shoulders slumped as the hearing wrapped. Judge Harlan ruled without delay. Divorce granted. The court awards Mrs. Reynolds the marital home and the entirety of the marital estate, including savings and investments due to the proven dissipation. Mr. Reynolds, you'll provide permanent support for Mrs. Reynolds' medical expenses plus compensatory damages of $500,000 for pain and suffering. Ethan buried his face in his hands, his lawyer patting his back futilely. But, Your Honor, that's everything, Ethan muttered. The judge glanced at him. Actions have consequences. Outside the courtroom, it hit harder. Investigators from the DA's office waited with an arrest warrant, based on the referrals and subpoenas from the prior hearing. Ethan Reynolds, you're under arrest for fraud, coercion, and medical assault, the lead officer said, cuffing him right there. Ethan's eyes widened in panic. Sophia, tell them it's a mistake. We can appeal. I stepped forward, my voice unwavering. No mistake. You violated me, stole from us. Now face it alone. His parents turned away as he was led off, Mom hugging me tight. It's done, honey. Jenna smiled. Civil side closed. Criminal process continues. He could face years if convicted. News reports buzzed that evening. Finance exec accused of medical fraud in bizarre kidney scheme. Under investigation. I watched from the couch, relief washing over me like a wave. With the home and funds secure, I dove into healing. Therapy sessions unpacking the trust issues, friends rallying with dinners and walks. My health stabilized, doctors cleared me for light exercise, and I returned to part-time work, redesigning my routine around one kidney. No heavy lifting, balanced diet, but manageable. Laura helped redecorate the house, erasing his traces. New chapter, she said, hanging fresh curtains. One quiet evening, sitting with Mom on the porch, I reflected. It hurt so much, but I rose above. Justice healed me. She nodded. And he's paying, isolated, broke, charged. Victoria gone, job lost, family ashamed. I smiled faintly. Yeah, I survived, and now I'm free. The criminal case loomed for him, but for me, life bloomed anew, empowered, surrounded by love. Proving that betrayal doesn't define you, but rising from it does. Have you ever felt that the person who hurt you the most is the one you trusted the most? If you've ever experienced being doubted, blamed, or hurt without being able to speak out, leave a I comment or briefly tell your story. No one is judging you here. We're just reminding each other of one thing. The truth may come late, but it always finds a way to be revealed. And if you want more stories like this about justice turning around, remember to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next episode. On screen right now, you'll see 2 new stories I think you'll really enjoy. There are many more waiting for you on the channel, so don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss one. See you in the next story. Until then, take care of yourself and the people you love. With all my love and respect.